Welcome to SpotLight. It's the podcast that lifts the curtain on life here at Wolverhampton Grand Theatre. I'm Scott.
And I'm Amber Sandu. And today, I'm so excited. It's my first one.
Scott,
yeah, my first Spotlight podcast. And I'm so thrilled to be here. I love the Grand Theatre, but they've been doing some amazing things around South Asian Heritage Month. They've been collaborated with Jaivant Patel Company. So it's only right that we get the artistic director on. Welcome, Jaivant Patel.
Hello.
Oh, everyone will know you. It's so lovely to have you. How are you?
I'm good. Weather's glorious outside, so it's a good day.
Yeah, it's quite hot in this dressing room, isn't it, right now?
Yes.
But we are bringing the heat to Wolverhampton all summer with a series of events. But before we get into that, we've worked together quite a lot, haven't we, Jaivant? Wolverhampton Grand and Jaivant Patel Company. So for those who are new to Jaivant Patel Company, maybe we should just get started by introducing your company and the work that you do right here in the city of Wolverhampton.
Oh God, where do I start? I'm pleased to say Jaivant Patel Company is about to celebrate its 20th year next year.
Congratulations.
Wow.
So we've been around for 20 years.
Oh.
We're a national portfolio organisation for Arts Council England. So they're our primary funders, and we're really grateful to them for supporting us the way they do. And it's particularly important bringing that investment into Wolverhampton, I think, and putting a spotlight on Wolverhampton. We have a programme of 3 strands. One is the artistic work that we tour nationally, and we have done some international work as well. And that's primarily around the South Asian LGBTQIA+ lens and perspective, for which we've won awards. The second strand is our community programme around kind of how do we culturally engage with the people of Wolverhampton. What do we do for them? Small programme of classes, events, putting on a lot for South Asian Heritage Month in collaboration with other organisations across the city, including Wolverhampton Grand. And the third is our heritage arm, which looks specifically at the local landscape and the impact, I would say, of the South Asian community who have migrated to this country and what the British Asian culture looks like, actually, beyond, I would say, the more traditional way of looking at arts culture, if you like. It's almost looking at social culture.
So much in there, and clearly you've achieved so much in those 20 years. What has the journey been like for you? And I'm really keen to know, when was that moment that you knew you wanted to perform? Because it feels like you were just born to do that today.
Thank you. I was very lucky to have been awarded a place at the Northern School of Contemporary Dance. So as you know, coming from South Asian communities, its performance is not really seen as a career point, or it's not seen as a viable career. Well, it certainly wasn't when I was growing up. And I did performing arts at A-level, and then I auditioned on a whim at the Northern School of Contemporary Dance, having had no formal dance training in my life, never taken a ballet class, contemporary class, nothing like that. And I was awarded a place, a scholarship. So that's kind of where I studied for 4 years. And then, admittedly, I took a bit of a break out because I didn't understand how I fitted in with the sector. Coming to a place like Wolverhampton where there was little infrastructure at that point, there was never really a clear path as to what I wanted to do after I'd graduated, and I'd chosen to come back on purpose. And in 2012, I would say, the light flickered on when it was 100 years of Hindi cinema. And I wanted to put on an event in Wolverhampton purely because I was finding myself going to Birmingham a lot for everything. And I wanted something for the community here to celebrate. Wolverhampton, for example, had the first Indian cinema. They were showing films from the 60s and 70s. And it was on Dudley Road, where the National Punjab Bank is now. That used to be an old cinema. And I wanted to kind of celebrate what that meant for the community. I remember walking into the room and there was nobody there in the community centre, the Bob Jones Community Centre. And I got stressed. I was worried. But South Asian communities are fashionably late, right?
Always late.
Always late. And suddenly, at 5-10 minutes after the event was supposed to start, the doors opened and people just filled in. Wow. And that was a moment that I realised that there is such an important market or a gap in Wolverhampton for that kind of stuff. And I almost took it upon myself to have the burden of that responsibility, to be able to say, you know what, this is what I want for the people, and this is what I want to do. And then the company's just grown slowly and slowly from that point on, with Arts Council funding we've had for small parts from other lottery projects, heritage, all that kind of stuff, and we've just built who we are today. And it actually made me, or inspired me, should I say, to come back into a performance career, which is exactly what I started then doing. So I started touring my own work under the banner of Jaivant Patel Company, and here we are today.
And of course, Jaivant Patel Company has roots in dance and is primarily a dance company, I guess. But now, particularly in the last few years, Jaivant Patel Company has taken on a much wider breadth of work. And you're not just about the dance now. No. It's kind of spreading across Wolverhampton, and you're able to affect and to reach and to benefit much more of the community, which again is a goal that we share here at Wolverhampton Grand, to reach the community through the power of arts. So tell us just kind of how that is for you, and I guess that's kind of why, as companies, we've kind of merged and work so well together.
Yeah, I think we have to think about how socially responsible we have to be as arts organisations to reach people. Up until now, I would say the question around who can access art and who can access venues has been around the privileged. And we are trying to break down barriers in order to ensure that art is for everybody and everyone has access to it. And we're not just sitting in silos of communities in their stereotypical viewpoints or stereotypical characteristics. We are also at a junction now where the generations are of mixed heritage, of mixed blended kind of families, and I feel that we need to embrace that, and we need to celebrate intersectionality in order to be sustainable. So when we became an MPO, Jaivant Patel Company decided we were going to be referred to as a South Asian Arts and Heritage Organisation, because that's all encompassing of the work that we do. And also, I would say South Asian arts isn't compartmentalised in music, dance, and drama. It's the fabric of us and what we do culturally. We music and dance are a part of our everyday lives in terms of culture, in terms of weddings, in terms of celebrating anything. And I wanted to think about how that would then feed into the work artistically of what we did. So yeah, that's kind of where we've been growing to, and then. It's interesting, we've been having conversations with organisations in order to build partnerships together in order to then make our communities aware of what's out there. They can step foot in the Grand and be welcome. They can step foot in other venues and be welcome, because these venues are for them. These venues serve them, right? So that's where we are.
And you've already kind of alluded to the fact that it was quite tricky growing up, because actually a career in performance was actually probably never really acceptable. It was a real challenge. I know you're really proud of your Gujarati roots. Talk to me about those challenges along the way and being accepted by your own communities while serving the South Asian community. Yeah,
I suppose also I think we need to, or I want to just kind of bring in the challenges of also being an openly gay man from a South Asian community, living in Wolverhampton, developing my work, and also wanting to dance at the same time. Like, how many taboos can you get in one sentence, right? I mean, seriously. Thankfully, it's a lot better now than what it ever was. But I think what really drove me was my passion to be in dance and my passion to develop who I was. And I've had some amazing mentors in my life, and I've been developing my art just from the critical conversations that I've had with them. I think the internet, for example, or the birth of the internet and our ability to be on smartphones has really, really changed the landscape of this country, if I'm really honest. And that's helped to not put Wolverhampton in a silo. I mean, I trained in Leeds at the Northern School of Contemporary Dance, as I've just said. When you compare the culture of the North to the culture of the Midlands versus the culture also of the South in London, they are worlds apart, right? So it's understanding where do you fit within that culture and how do you bring some of that with you. I think because, as you say, I've always been proud of my Gujarati culture and I've always spoken my language and I've always taken real great interest in what it means to be Gujarati. I think that has garnered over the years some respect within my own community to be able to understand culturally what I'm trying to do and why I'm trying to put them on the map. So, for example, recently we did a project called Pravas, which is charting the migration of the Gujarati community to Wolverhampton or the Black Country between 1916 and 1990. That's currently the third only archive to exist for the Gujarati community in the whole of the UK. There is one that exists in Leicester and there is one that exists in Brent. Other than that, I do not know of any other archive that exists. So I think it's important that we talk about those stories because all South Asian people don't speak the same language. We don't always eat the same food. We don't have the same religious beliefs. We don't have the same cultural beliefs. And I think that it's important now more than ever to educate communities as to why that is and where we come from and to celebrate our celebrate our different histories with a shared purpose.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And you are so unapologetically you. And you are one of the most passionate people that we know here at the Grand. And I think what your work does, like, as you say, encompass all of that and celebrate all of that. You mentioned Pravas, the work that you've done there. That is a film that there's a film of that we're showing that tells the stories. And we've been showing it here at the Grand today, even as part of our South Asian Heritage Month celebration. So what does it mean for you that people can come here and kind of experience that work here?
I think what's really interesting about Pravas is the conversations it's ignited, actually. And about how I'm hearing, I never expected or I never knew about the history of the Gujarati community in Africa. Or I never knew about the migration from India to Africa back to the UK or whatever. And also about this language that developed that was... kind of a combination of Swahili, and I say Swahili because my family came from Kenya, so Swahili and Gujarati and what that meant versus a different Gujarati back in India. And I think it's really interesting how migration stories are now coming to the forefront and being explained in a way which challenges perceptions and stereotypes, actually, because I feel that for so long we've not really understood the true implications of migration. And we're beginning to unpack what that means now, right? So I think that stories like that are really, really, really important. I just also want to say we've had a great event on Saturday, Amber, which you were part of, where
Jay's going to be sick of me. We've seen each other a lot.
where we had an amazing panel of some amazing South Asian women who have had successful careers in the media and in the arts, and they were there present. And at one point, that was even seen as something that wasn't going to be feasible, right? We have women who are presenters, we have women who are amazing dancers, we have women who are amazing artistic directors in mainstream media, writing books, cooking. At one point, that wouldn't have been celebrated.
It's a real testament to you that you brought us all together. I just felt honoured to be on that stage, to be honest, with all of you, because you're all amazing. We're talking about the film. A real focus is on roots and identity, and the theme for this year for South Asian Heritage Month is roots to roots. I wonder, what does that mean to you when you hear roots to roots? And it's a question you asked me on Saturday at the event, so I'm throwing it back to you.
You're throwing it back to me. Wow. I think roots to roots, for me specifically, and maybe because my artistic work is very political at the moment, it's about understanding the journey of the South Asian queer body and what that means, and how the erasures through colonisation have maybe made those narratives invisible, and how do we come back to a setting point where we are celebrating queerness how it was celebrated pre-colonial India. And I think it's really important for us to understand how that's something that's been imposed on our communities through archaic Victorian morality rules, right? Almost. And I feel that there's a lot more to be done around how when communities migrate, how they don't carry that stigma with them and how they uneducate themselves to unpack what that means, actually. So I'm thinking of roots as in roots in India, and I'm thinking of roots as in migration routes, and how we can globally look at how we deal with the South Asian queer community and how we embrace them as they were embraced a long time ago. That's particularly what it means for me.
Yeah, and of course South Asian Heritage Month is right now. It begins here in July, all the way through into August. And we got together, well, I say we, but the theatre and your company got together a good few months ago to really kind of focus on how we celebrate South Asian Heritage Month here in Wolverhampton, because you say there is such a rich community here. And there wasn't really the celebrations to be had here. I think Manchester is perhaps the home where the celebrations really are, but we kind of noticed a gap here in Wolverhampton and the Black Country and decided to really make this the home of the celebrations for the entire Midlands, really. So maybe you want to start by sort of saying what it means to have celebrations, official celebrations for South Asian Heritage Month here in Wolverhampton.
Well, I want to just start by saying I was really proud to have been invited because of the work that's been going on here in Wolverhampton to the event at Speaker's House in the Houses of Parliament a week ago. We performed, Jaivant Patel company performed in collaboration with Bhavik Courier, who is an amazing Gujarati vocalist who we've been working with a little bit, and we performed to launch the event, and it was great to be in the room with those dignitaries and to be putting a spotlight on what we do, basically. And then kind of coming back to what you're saying about celebrating it in Wolverhampton. Wolverhampton's never really had an official South Asian Heritage Month celebration. And although I've been invited to a few closed functions really for MPs and local councillors, I was frustrated that the people weren't being celebrated in a way that was kind of open access, and also how people from other communities weren't also joining in the celebrations because there was no official celebration, right? I've just snuck in downstairs to one of the dance workshops, and the diversity of people within that room is amazing, right? To be able to give an access to know what South Asian dance, or specifically Bhangra, is about, right? So I think that's why we're doing what we're doing, and that's why it's so important. But also it seems very crazy that South Asian Heritage Month has been around for, I think, 7 to 8 years. And this is the first time that we're doing something in Wolverhampton specifically widely for the community. You know, I just think it's a time thing. It's about time we did something, and that's why I'm just so proud to be one of the first to be collaborating with the Grand in order to kind of do that, and joining our heads, joining our forces together to be able to achieve what we've been able to achieve.
It's brilliant, but also crazy to me that there's been no official celebrations, because we have such a rich, like you said, South Asian community, and it's such a diverse city. But it's amazing that we've got these jam-packed couple of days of workshops, from dance to telling our stories as well from our communities. The future of South Asian Heritage Month then, for you, Jaivant, I mean, where do you see it growing? Where would you like it to go?
My personal ambitions for South Asian Heritage Month is I'd like to see the dates moved. I'd like to see the dates moved into a more academic year, actually, so that then schools can have an educational package around that, and we can celebrate that at a time where everyone has access, because we're hitting the summer months now. Right, people are on holiday, people are going to do whatever they're going to do because they're enjoying the weather. And whilst that's great, I think we're missing a trick for the youth not to filter that through, because they're the future. So when you're talking about future, actually, I'm thinking of the young people. I'm thinking about how they then become, or are made to feel proud of their heritage in whatever way they want to feel it's proud in. And I want it to be inbuilt as part of everyday, an everyday celebration. You know, I feel we shouldn't just celebrate South Asian Heritage Month just because it's the month. We should be celebrating it and feeling proud to be South Asian all year round. I want to see a growth of South Asian creatives. I want to see a growth of South Asian artists, and I want people and other organisations out there to be looking at who's doing what, pinpointing them, and then working with them all year round. So when it gets to this month, whenever it is, it becomes something that is absolutely fantastic, and people remember it time and time again. It becomes a go-to in the calendar. I feel we're still at a point where we are like, oh, it's South Asian Heritage Month, rather than South Asian Heritage Month is coming up, what we're going to be doing.
I know a lot of people who didn't know it was South Asian Heritage Month. It's only because I've had conversations with them. I'm like, oh, I'm going to this to the Grand, or I've got this coming up. They're like, oh, I didn't even know it was South Asian Heritage Month. So we need to get to that point where it's already in the calendar and we know it's coming up. So I completely agree.
And you just mentioned there about this is for the youth and the next generation to know that. And like, you know, when we get to, you know, we've got like Windrush Day and you know, that kind of comes along and people know we will get there, I'm sure. And this morning was testament to that, I think, because I just walked into the Encore Lounge this morning and saw maybe 20 kids, probably no older than 8. You know, they were all younger with Bhangra Bunny, and they were all dancing around, learning Bhangra. And, you know, not all of them were South Asian. There were multiple communities represented here. And that, again, that is so nice that other, you know, that it's open to other communities and people feel that they can come in and learn something new or discover something new about their friends at school and their colleagues or their neighbours. It was a real celebration for the entire community, and
or even just to kind of answer their curiosities about anything about the culture, right? They have a question. How do you get to a point where you can ask a question without feeling embarrassed or with the fear to offend, or how do we make it a truly equitable conversation?
But what we've created here, and this is testament to both of you, is the safe place. That this is a safe place where they can experience things like Bollywood and Bhangra, but they can also ask questions as well. They can learn about different migration routes, people's journeys, their communities. And I think that's really beautiful as well, because that's not easy to create either. So it's amazing. Jay, it's been a pleasure.
Thank you.
Thank you. Where can we follow your work if we, you know, you've got a show coming up, haven't you? You're going to be on tour very soon.
Yes, we're going to be on tour very soon. I just want to say a couple of words about that, actually.
Yes.
We're about to tour a piece of work called Astitva, which is a bold portrayal of gay Indian men. And what that means, it's a dance theatre production, full length. I'm not on stage for it. I've choreographed it and directed it, actually. Working with 3 amazing dance artists. We are opening at Bradford City of Culture in October. Fantastic. We've just released the tour dates. We're coming to Wolverhampton in November at the Arena Theatre, and then we move on to the Birmingham Rep, and then the Place in Spring 26 in London. If you want to follow our work, you can follow us on Jaivant Patel Company, so it's at Jaivant Patel Co. So JAIVANTPATEL See how I rehearsed that?
Yeah, so good. So didn't even stutter. So good.
We're across Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, you name it.
Oh, amazing, Jay. Good luck with that.
Thank
really
you.
looking forward to it.
Yeah, can't wait to see that. And maybe not to see you on stage. Maybe we'll sit next to you in the audience this time for a change. But no, we're really looking forward to that, Jay, and can't wait to work with you more here at the Grand.
Absolutely.
In the future. And from me and Amber, I guess, thank you everyone for joining us at home, and we'll see you in the next one.